We will now begin our post-AGM awards and CILT staff and program spotlight. At the end of each award presentation, we will invite everyone to unmute and applaud our wonderful recipients. The first award on the deck is the Helen Henderson Literary Award. And for this, I would like to welcome Lisa DeBono, Senior Manager of Direct Funding of the Direct Funding Program, to present this award. Lisa?
Thank you, Jacques. I am not able to turn on my video, so my apologies. I'm not sure if anybody can assist me with that. Oops. Sorry about that. The Helen Henderson Literary Award was established in 2016 to acknowledge an exceptional piece of writing that raises social awareness of a disability issue or barrier. It is named in honor of Helen Henderson, a writer, a journalist, and the pioneer author of a column in the Toronto Star that brought disability issues to the public. Henderson earned English degrees from Bishop's University in Quebec and the University of Toronto. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the late 1970s, and since then, she fought to maintain her independence. Her career at the Star began in 1971 as a business reporter. After moving to the Star's Life section, she proposed writing a column about people with disabilities and the issues they face. She was the first person at the Star to address disability issues on a regular basis. Helen provided critical coverage in the early days of the direct funding program. She was elected as president of the board to CILT in 2014. Toronto Metropolitan University recognized Henderson posthumously as a graduate of the Disability Studies program, and Toronto Metropolitan University also established the Helen Henderson Writing Award for disability activism. On behalf of CILT's Board of Directors, I would like to present the Helen Henderson Literary Award to Heather Burns. Heather's submission is entitled Sink or Swim, A Journey of Acceptance, and outlines her own journey coming to terms with internalized ableism. This story was published as part of a short story collection called As I Live and Breathe, written by youth leaders at Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital and published on blurb.ca. In her submission, Heather describes her work this way. This story details my experience growing up as a disabled person with internalized ableism. When I was a child, I didn't think too much about being disabled, and yet when I got older, it was all I could think about. The questions felt unavoidable. While my battle with internalized ableism will be lifelong, over time, I have come to a place of acceptance and an understanding that my insecurities and negative thoughts about myself were a result of ableism and stigma in the world and not an accurate reflection of who I am. The CILT board also saw themselves in Heather's story. Board members noted that they could clearly hear Heather's voice in the story, that it resonated strongly with their own experiences, and that it was a topic we don't spend nearly enough time talking about: the impact of internalized ableism on all of us. Many commented on Heather's use of water as a metaphor for feeling overwhelmed by pervasive ableist attitudes, and others related to the ongoing journey of finding ways to be proud of who they are. Thank you, Heather, for sharing your story with all of us, so we too can find our way through the waves. Congratulations on being our 2023 Helen Henderson Literary Award winner. We'd like to invite Heather to say a few words.
I thank you so much. I'm very grateful and honored to be this year's recipient of the Helen Henderson Literary Award. And as you mentioned just moments ago, it is really about my own journey with acceptance and navigating my way through a lot of internalized ableism. And so much of the acceptance I feel now is a testament to the incredible disabled people that I have been surrounded with and very fortunate to share experiences with. And also all of the disabled people who have come before me. So I owe so much of my own journey of acceptance and pride to them. And I'm just very grateful to be here tonight and to be this year's recipient. So thank you very much.
That's brilliant, Heather. Thank you. And I hope everybody has the opportunity to read the story. It's a fantastic story. Can I ask everyone to unmute for a moment for a round of applause, or you can use the emojis that are on Zoom, but congratulations, congratulations.
Oh, yay, congratulations, Heather.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Wonderful
Heather.
story.
Yeah, all right.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Way to go.
It's Susan Kavanaugh. I have a question.
Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, go ahead, Susan.
Where can we find a copy of Heather's work?
I can put it in the chat.
Thank you.
It will also be posted on the CILT website. So we keep a listing of the award winners and we link their work there too. But it's a great question, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And now back to you, Jacques, for the next award.
Thank you, Lisa. And congratulations, Heather. Great job. The Founders Award was established on CILT's 10th anniversary in 1995 to recognize the significant contribution of individuals who both exemplify and have advanced independent living philosophy in the spirit of its founders. CILT's Board of Directors is very pleased to award the 2022-23 Founders Award to David C. Onley for his commitment to advocacy and championing of accessibility and inclusion for people with disabilities. All of us in the disability community are aware that we lost David earlier this year. We have invited Ruth Ann Onley, David's wife, and his family to attend tonight and accept this award in his honor. A native of Midland, Ontario, David turned to his natural storytelling abilities to kickstart a career in writing and media. He had been diagnosed with polio at the age of 3 and used a power scooter, crutches, and/or canes to walk. For many of us, he was the only representation of a person with a visible disability on Canadian television, telling stories from across the country and reporting on various topics like technology, science, current events and news, and more. In 1997, David was inducted into the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. During the more than 22 years he spent with City TV as a news anchor, host, producer, and writer, David was committed to tirelessly advancing accessibility in public spaces through advocacy roles with the Sky Dome Accessibility Council, the Air Canada Centre Accessibility Committee, and chaired the Government of Ontario's Accessibility Standards Advisory Council. After an illustrious career in media, David was appointed Ontario's 28th Lieutenant Governor in 2007 and was the first person with a physical disability to assume the role. His mandate and work strive to achieve a world where disabled people could be fully included in the social, cultural, and economic fabric of Ontario. David had said, "My dream is of a province where disability rights are advanced, not only for those with classically defined physical disabilities, but also for those so-called invisible disabilities." As Lieutenant Governor, he advocated for issues affecting people with disabilities, such as barriers in finding employment and accessible housing. His work on increasing access was far-reaching, including expanding educational initiatives under the Aboriginal Youth Literacy Act to include computer technology programs. These were just a few of the incredible accomplishments and impact of David Onley, in which no introduction can truly do it justice. Although we were very saddened to learn of David's passing in January, CILT is honored to be able to continue celebrating David's life and recognizing the tremendous impact he made on breaking down barriers for people with disabilities and raising the standards of accessibility in all of Canada. We'll always remember you, David, and hope this Founders Award is another avenue to appreciating your wonderful life. David's wife, Ruth Ann, is joining us today, and I would like to pass it over to her now to share a few words. So with great honor, I'd like to pass this over to Ruth Ann Onley. Ruth Ann.
Thank you, Jacques. Thank you so much. Well, it's a real bittersweet privilege, actually, for me to be with you on screen here as you honor my late husband, David. He was the first Lieutenant Governor of Ontario with a physical disability. David, I'm just so proud to celebrate this Founders Award. And I was thinking, you know, he would love the word. He loved words and he loved meaning. And he would like this, the founder, kind of thinking about a pioneer. These are first generation, you know, things in the mid 80s when David was on television. That's when things started going forward with disability reality situations with disability. So the Founders Award is a beautifully expressed expression for David, I would say. He was a warrior, but he was my hero as well. Living with the effects of polio, David knew really all too well the challenges, and he championed disability issues for so many years. And I remember him telling me, Ruth, just getting a bath in the morning, getting on my braces and getting dressed is a workout for me. And I'm exhausted practically by the time I get ready to go to work. I remember him telling me that just to get going, but he did. He got up and got dressed and got going, and into the world he did go. He had a bright creative mind and a terrific sense of humor that made him a real trailblazer with a can-do attitude, loaded with a lot of optimism and faith in what could be and must be. David was a cup half full kind of guy. He was such an optimist about life, even with the situations that would come along. Throughout a 7-year term as Lieutenant Governor, David was both an inspiring role model, as we've heard, and an ardent supporter, enthused so much by the innovative work that Ontarians across our province were doing to advance true inclusion and belonging. And he gave out so many awards himself in the disability community to those that were trying to improve the quality of life for Ontarians living with disability. And I remember that as a young mom, and David's first years at City TV, where he would be in front of the screen, and we'd all know what he would do. He would do the weather and education, but behind the screen, it took a few years for him. He would come home and tell me the stories of the phone calls he would get. He would get so many phone calls and maybe emails as the computer, came along, but people that needed problems solved. And David loved to help people, and he cared about people. He was a real pit bull when it came to helping, and he would do all he could to get people in touch with other people. And he was a real communicator that way, and he put people together, that someone who could help somebody else. And that was something I learned later on in his television career, how much he did behind the scenes. And I guess it paved the way for a lot of the disabled and disability realms that he got into. He also loved teaching. After his work on City and after the Lieutenant Governor role, He loved teaching at UTSC, and I learned from his students at his funeral how much the disability course meant to them, how much they learned and went forward and would go forward, and he had a whole generation that he taught. So it was a very special time for him to teach. In 2020, David posted a quote by Frederick Buechner on Twitter that inspired him. David loved social media, and he loved being on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, but he loved this one quote, and here it is. "Here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid." Over the past few years and right up until his death this January 14th, David was empowered to speak out and speak up as he became frustrated by the sluggish pace of change and rampant ableism. He was never afraid to push us to do more and better, reminding us that we all have a part to play. And I think I was looking online, and Jacques, at what you had said in one of your reports, and I like this because I think David would have completely loved it as well. This organization, you said, is about hope, HOPE, helping others persevere and excel. And then you also said, Jacques, we will be measured by our actions, not our intentions. Amen to that. I know David would have said. He was always so upset when he would confront government leaders. He said there was so much virtue signaling going on, lots of words and no actions. And so you're right. We will be measured by our actions, not our intentions or our words. So as that quote said, don't be afraid, friends. Together as champions for change, we can realize David's dream of a more accessible province. So sorry. Spam. Sorry about that. That was spam, I think. I just want to mention David's coat of arms as I wrap up. Per ardua ad alta, from adversity to the heights. And I think that's what we do. We keep going on. We march on. Onward we go. So thank you so much for this Founders Award. It means a great deal to our family. It means a great deal to me. And I know that David would have loved it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. And thank you and your family for joining us tonight.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask everyone to unmute for a round of applause? You can also use the Zoom reactions for applause emoji.
Thank you, Ruth Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Inspiring.
Indeed.
Very good.
The leader.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was a great award.
I'm going to say goodbye. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What are you doing?
Okay. This now brings us to the Vic Willi Legacy Award. Colleen Wells, Vic Willi's niece, will now present the Vic Willi Legacy Award. Colleen?
I just want to check in and see if Colleen's here, Jacques, because
Can we? Okay.
there had been I don't know that Colleen was able to make it. I think she was called away quite urgently for something. So I'll ask our tech team, is Colleen here? Does anybody know?
Wendy, I don't think so as of now.
Okay,
So maybe you can start.
I'll go ahead and provide and announce this award then. I promised Colleen I would do it because it's actually from her, it's written from her perspective. But I promised her I would present it for her if she couldn't make it.
Okay, thank you.
I do think that Paul and Shirley Willi are here though. So it's nice to have some of Vic's family joining us tonight too. So this, as I said, this is from Colleen's perspective. And so I'm just going to read it on her behalf. So she's written, "My Uncle Vic was a great guy. He was smart, strong, and very witty, and I am honored to present this award on his behalf. Throughout his life, he was an advocate for people with disabilities, supported disabled people's independence, and contributed to the independent living movement. He served as the executive director of CILT from 1989 to 2006. He was the editor of CILT's In the Stream newsletter, and he had a hand in DNET, the Disability Network, a show on the CBC by and for disabled people. Vic was also involved in creating and advocating to the government for the direct funding self-managed attendance services program in Ontario, a program that now, almost 30 years later, supports 1,000 people with disabilities across the province of Ontario to hire and manage their own attendants. He believed that people can be restricted by or empowered by their social surroundings. If surroundings are accessible and support one's inherent dignity, the ability to embrace independence is attainable. But when surroundings don't support, when people don't understand, or when the surroundings are inaccessible, independence is difficult and in many cases not possible. And that's why this award is so important. It recognizes young leaders who are doing all they can to make changes to this world that improve the lives of disabled people and their ability to be part of their communities. I am very pleased to present the second annual Vic Willi Legacy Award to Lexi Toki. Lexi is a recent cognitive science graduate from York University. Lexi was nominated by Sherry Caldwell from the Ontario Disability Coalition. In her nomination video, Sherry praised Lexi's ability to advocate for disabled young people and to address tough topics. She participated in many advocacy efforts, including breaking down barriers to assistive devices and highlighting the intersections of racism and ableism, and how her experiences of being both a disabled woman and a racialized woman are unique. Lexi has written on these topics at her campus and has also spoken to these issues in webinars by Smile Canada. In one of Lexi's webinars for Smile Canada, entitled Exploring Our Intersections, she describes being the kind of person who was always involved in everything at school and outside of school, and that her parents worked hard for her and her siblings to have opportunities to do everything that they wanted. She did say that her experiences as a disabled woman of color were very different from others who have disabilities, and that she has been treated as an afterthought at times, and said that not only does her condition cause pain, but actually the ignorance, bias, and discrimination of others can sometimes even be more painful. Lexi fights against these attitudes in her advocacy work. Like many lifelong advocates, Lexi's advocacy work started early. When in grade 7, she was an Easter Seals ambassador. She has also been very involved in Holland Bloorview's advocacy work, and she chairs the Children's Treatment Network's Youth Engagement Council, bringing her voice and lived experience to this important work. With the Ontario Disability Coalition, Lexi has attended and helped organize rallies and met with decision makers at Queen's Park, including the Minister of Community and Social Services. As someone living with a rare condition, Lexi has also taken on the topic of medical gaslighting in her advocacy work. In Sherry's nomination of Lexi, she said, "Lexi gives me hope for a brighter future." CILT's board feels the same way and found her to embody the leadership and change-making qualities we hope to recognize with this important award. Congratulations, Lexi, on winning the Vic Willi Legacy Award. You give us hope for the future too. And Lexi, I think you're here, and we'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for the background noise. You might hear some cheering and stuff. It's not for me. I'm at my sister's the Easter Seals ambassador, so we're at her Dancing with the Stars event, and I'm in a coat closet right now. But I'd like to thank you for considering me for this award, and I think Sherry said it better than I ever could, but I really appreciate, you know, everything that Center of Independent Living does, because it's not all just talk. Like, I'm living proof that organizations like this and initiatives like this really do impact people with disabilities and allow them to not only have a seat at the table, but to bring their wheelchairs with them, which is very important. And as mentioned, I'm Afghan Canadian, so my parents are from Afghanistan, and that brings a whole other layer of complexity to the advocacy that I've had to learn from a very young age. Not only was I learning, you know, long division in grade 3, but I was also learning how to balance, you know, being an Afghan Canadian woman, being someone who has a rare genetic disorder, being someone who's, you know, whose health is constantly changing and evolving, and kind of learning that the world wasn't built for people like me. And I kind of have to be the person that, you know, makes it accessible and advocates for myself. And along with that, I'm very privileged to be able to, you know, to be able to communicate my advocacy in a way that people will listen and people will actually take the time to learn something from. But and I've kind of learned over the years with my brother, who was born a healthy person, just recently being also diagnosed with a rare disability completely different from mine. This privilege is not something that everyone has, and communication is such an important and vital thing. And because I'm able to communicate verbally and, you know, advocate for myself, I shouldn't just think about myself in these types of awards and situations. I have to think that this opens the doors for other people with disabilities too, and brings their difficulties and their concerns and their legacies and achievements also to the table. So I really appreciate you for all being here to celebrate me. And this whole week has been a bunch of celebrations, because yesterday I officially graduated university, which was, you know, something that less than 15% of people with disabilities in Canada are able to accomplish due to all of the barriers that, you know, come with being a student and being a university student with a disability. So I'm very proud of myself for that and getting through that. And then on top of that, I have this award today, which was a big surprise. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, Lexi, that is brilliant. And can I just ask everybody to unmute so we can congratulate you on this award and on your graduation?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done.
Congratulations.
Lexi, Mubarak, Sidi, Mubarak, Mubarak, Mubarak.
Tashakur.
Oh, brilliant. Lexi, thank you so much for being here.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Really great to hear about all the work that you're doing, and that we know you will continue to do, and all the changes that you're making. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'll pass it back to Jacques.
Great, thank you, Wendy. And congratulations, Lexi. Wonderful. Yes, the CILT board is proud to support the recognition of young disabled community leaders through its awards, and thanks Vic's family for their support of the award in his honor. The board congratulates Lexi Toki for her achievements in supporting independent living and making changes that benefit disabled people.